Welcome, welcome. Can I tell y'all? Yesterday was a day for me, and you can kind of tell. Like I looked like I was kind of just shuffled with my outfit and everything going on. And the best thing about Hope has its purpose is that I wanted to be whereas it is real live in the moment conversation, and we had real live conversation like on yesterday because it was it was real for me. I want to bring you into all of these conversations because it's just more than just regular content that we have every single day. This is a sacred conversation, and we're just allowing other people to come in and listen to us. So, today we're going to talk about what if the detour is actually the direction? What is the detour? Is actually the direction when life does not, and I repeat, it does not go according to plan. Maybe God isn't delaying you, maybe He's just redirecting you. Okay. We be thinking, like, that is not what I signed up for, but it was. Okay. It was what you signed up for. So pull up your chair, come on in, get your coffee, get your tea, and get you some good old fashioned water too as well. Have you just ever had your whole entire life be uprooted? I'm just gonna raise my hand. I'm sure that you probably raising your hand too, because I see you raising your hand on the other side. Um, we all have had something to uproot us, um, especially when we done mapped it out. I'm gonna say it again, especially when we done mapped it out. You know exactly how things are supposed to go, right? Like, because we done mapped it out. Like, we got the job, we want to make the six figures, we want the relationship, we want the opportunity, and we got this all mapped out, right? Timing, we know what time we want it to happen, we know who we want it to happen with. We got this all from the day that we were little to up to now. We got everything mapped out. But can I tell you how life has a way of punking you? And punking us out. It said, I'm so glad that you thought it was going to go that way, but that's not how life works. See, I have come to find out in my short almost 60 years that I've been here is that life doesn't always go according to plan. And you already know this. I know some of you that are subscribing and following me and leaving your amazing comments to let me know how life has took a turn, because life will, whether you want it to or not. Kids are going to grow up, parents are going to get old, jobs are going to transition, relationships are going to go through its own set of rules. That's just the way life was set up. And so, as life is taking its turn, can I be totally transparent with you? Because I like that about our conversation is I try to be as transparent as I can without giving too much information away. I want to be honest with you. It's like some of the hardest moments of my life um, has been some painful ones. They really have been. I can remember the the day I came home from high school at the age of 15 and found out that my father had passed away. That I did not realize was going to set the the tone going forward from that. I remember when I lost my mom, and I spoke to her on one day, and a few days later, she had gone on to be with the Lord. So, but when I tell you, I understand. I remember the day that I myself, when I was much younger, and I had gotten sick, and I had wound up in the hospital. I waited too long to get medical attention, and I wound up getting an infection that had spread to my blood, and I wound up being in the hospital for a couple of days. And I remember my brother. himself was in the hospital, had a procedure. It did not turn out well. And my last conversation with him was that as soon as I get out, I'm going to come and see you. And I never made it to see him because he passed before I even got out of the hospital. So, can I tell you that I know what it's like to have life changing events to happen? And one just recently is that I'm going through a transition in my career right now. And so you probably say, "Oh, Jackie, this is great. This is wonderful." Mhm. Yes, it is. But it also showed me that some things that I was putting into place before the transition happened, it hadn't quite taken off yet. And so, what happens, right? Like, what happens when your life takes a detour? Because you're thinking, my plans are, I'm going to use this as my way of supporting myself while I build this other transition on the side. Well, that transition had not fully been in operational yet when another transition happened. And so when that happens, you're thinking like, okay, God, where are you in the midst of this? Like, they can be so painful because our plans doesn't align with his plans and his plans doesn't align with our plans. And so today I don't want to give you any easy answer because there's no easy answer. Can I tell you that there's no easy answer? I just want you to have, I just want us to have an honest conversation, because maybe, just maybe, the detour you're frustrated about right now is actually a direction. And most people don't want to hear that. You know, we want to hear like, okay, do I get off this exit? Do I stay on the highway? You know, like I always use metaphors because it just describes a lot of things that people uh, understand and they can like, oh yeah, right. And so I always like, am I supposed to get off at this exit or am I supposed to stay on the highway? And if anybody knows about a highway, especially where I'm from, whether I'm originally from Atlanta and I moved to Arizona, construction is everywhere. And so construction will always have you take a detour. A, you were like, so you took me all the way around the Marbury Bush to hop back on the highway for me to get detour with traffic. Y'all feel me with that, right? And so doing these detours, yes, you get to your destination, but you never want to like take the long way. We want the short, straight, like I want to stay here. It's going to take me right where I need to go so I don't have to do any extra work. Here's your part. I need for you to pull up a chair. I do. And even if you don't feel comfortable pulling up a chair right now, I need for you to just stand around the table because, you know, you're not quite ready yet. But as you stand around the table, you're going to see more and more people pull up their chair and have a seat at the table. And that's okay because all is welcome here at the sacred table. So we fail. I wouldn't say we fail. I would say that we got infatuated. We got infatuated. And which then our infatuation turned into something totally different with our plans, right? Because I know I have. I'm just going to speak for me, right? Like I've been infatuated with my plans. I've been in love with my plans. I have had an affair with my plans. I've done a lot of things in my lifetime with the plans that I have. And sometimes I don't trust God. Can I just, this may have some people like pull their chair back a little bit, but I want you to stay close to the table. I trust my plan. I can literally say that out loud is that there's times in my life where I have not trusted him, but I've trusted my plan. Why? Because I can see my plan. I can like put it on paper and say, okay, Jackie, here's what we're about to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're going to do this at 9 o'clock. We're going to do this at 12 o'clock. We're going to post our content. We're going to answer people back in the comments. So like I can trust my plan as long as God's plan lines up with my plan. Can I just say that? I can, as long as his plan lines up with my plan, I'm good to go. and everything feels good. Everything feels great. Everything feels like I'm on a all natural high. But what happens if it doesn't? What happens? What happens if our plans don't line up with his plans and the marriage end? Because I can tell you personally, I've been married twice and divorced twice in the marriage. But what happens when the friendship change? What happens when the finances shift? Can I get that one right there is big for everyone right now. So what happens when the finances change and you're trying to figure out, I don't really want to go back to having to pay Peter, Paul, John, Luke, and Matthew, and then I'm going to go to the New Testament and start borrowing some from my old buddies, right? That's what you're thinking. Like, I don't have to go back there. And what happens when you get the diagnosis? And what happens when you don't get the interview and they don't call you back and doors are being shut in your face? And then suddenly you begin to question God's faithfulness, because I'm just going to raise my hand. I'm going to raise both of them, because you feel like, I don't sense him. I don't see him. I don't know what he's doing behind the scenes. And maybe, we are grieving. We're grieving our own expectations, because I can say that's how it's been for me for the last 5 weeks. I'm grieving. I have been grieving my own expectations, because I had it in my mind, here's where I wanted to be. Here are my plans that I wanted to be by the time I was this age, that now I want to be on this side of it. But can I tell you, transition does have a way of punking you out and say, oh, I like your cute little plans. I really do. Those are real cute. But not, right? I wonder how many prayers we've called unanswered. Like, okay, y'all know, we don't pray some gigantic prayers. Like we've prayed for prayers that have not been answered yet, and God is actually answering them differently. And I've seen that. I can be a witness to say I've seen that happen. I've seen it whereas I prayed something and it didn't come the way, but it showed up. It didn't come the way that I thought, but it did show up. And I am now walking in that space whereas I'm very to look around and say, okay, is that God answering that prayer that I just prayed? Is that God's way of showing me that he's still with me? He never leaves you or forsakes you. Is that him knocking at that door? Is that him closing that door? Is that him? Is that, because right now the transition that I'm in right now is about being still. That's a hard thing for me, because I'm always like, okay, so what's the next? How? Because I feel when I'm not contributing to the things that I know that I'm supposed to contribute to, I feel like I am letting people down. And even though the people in my life, like, they love me and they support me, they have been there from the very beginning, and they say, Mom, it's okay, sis, it's okay, Queen, I still want to hold up my part, right? Like, I am a giver, I am a server. And when you are like that, you've always been like that, it is very hard sometimes to sit back and allow others to serve you, because you have not experienced that in a very long time. Not in a way whereas you always, if somebody's serving me, what do they want? Something back from me. And a lot of times when people serve you, they don't want anything back. They're just being obedient for whatever God has placed inside of their heart. So not always when somebody gives back that they want something back. They're just serving you based on God has seen you being a good steward, serving in the way that he called you to serve. And now it's being reciprocated. Now it's coming back to you. And so that's a hard thought, but it's an honest one, right? It's an honest one, because we never see it from that way. We see like it's a door shut, it's shut. The chapter's changed, the story's over with. It's just coming in a different way. And so looking back, changing everything. I've lived long enough to look back over seasons that may actually have been some more powerful seasons in my life. Like when I look back over some of the things, some of the seasons I've lived through has been some most powerful seasons in my life. They've been things that have totally changed me in so many ways that I never thought that they would have changed me, especially now, right? I wound up taking a course in AI, which I loved. I even wound up taking a course in Canva. That's a whole nother thing. But things that I never will find myself doing, looking back over, it's like, wow, God, thank you so much for allowing me to be teachable and to receive some of these new things that are coming our way, that I'm not so lost in the sauce that I don't know how to use the simplest things that we use every single day. But it also has showed me to take my walk with him a lot more seriously. It's shown me to slow down enough to recognize the smallest, simplest things that are around me every single day, whether it is a hummingbird, whether it's an ant, whether it's a bird that's sitting on a wall. It shows me like, how can this be used in everyday practical life? And so the times I was thinking that things were being closed, I thought it was God saying no. But when I look back, I realized he was saying not this way. There's a different way, because we want to go the hard way. Like, we thinking we just every day I'm hustling. That's a better way to go. Whereas now it's like, okay, how can I do this and do it one time and have that residual income come in every single day? That's where we are. How can I do what I'm doing, make content, good content, relevant content? And now I have over so many subscribers having watch time. How can I make this digital product, put it in my stand store, and now as I'm sleeping, it is generating income in my sleep? That's where we all would like to be one day. That I'm making one thing one time and it pays me. Not only just pays me, but it pays my children, right? So I am a children's author. So my prayer is that my books will go on to generate income for not only just me, for my grandson, but it also shows him what's possible, right? And so now I am working on coming out with a whole nother series in 2027. And of course, in my mind, I got this big vision. But first I have to lay it on the altar and say, okay, God, here's my vision for this book series, right? Here's my vision of, I wanted to be in Target and Walmart. I wanted to be, in Barnes and Nobles and Books of Millions. I want people to, then I do a whole book tour. So, because in my mind, I'm like, I'm doing a whole book tour now. My book is now animated on Netflix and things like that. So in my mind, that's how I'm thinking big like that. But that's my plans. God plan may be something totally different. So like, I have to be open to whatever his plan may be. It may be to just do the books and go on book tour. It may be do the books and do Nick Flick. Or it may just be do Nick Flick and just have a story time on Netflix and go. Am I open for change? Am I open to do a detour? Am I going to be so rigid and so into my own plan that I don't leave room for God's plan or even ask him what his plan is? Because again, we have had an affair, we done fell in love, we have made it our mistress, that we don't want to see another way, because this has become our identity. And so that being said, I want to leave you with this, because I always like to leave with a foundation. And the foundation is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. All, not some, not a little bit. Acknowledge all, and he shall direct your path. And again, I've heard this verse time and time again, but what I realize is trusting God isn't difficult when I understand the road. Trust becomes real. Trust becomes real. I'm not stuck. Trust becomes real. When you realize trusting him is not difficulty. The problem that we have is that his way doesn't line up with our way. And then we come up with this thing in our head You know what? The first thing we said, oh, the devil's just busy. The devil's just running rapidly. It's not always the devil. It's just a lot of times of us being disobedient to what he told us to do. And maybe the detour wasn't punishment, maybe it was protection, maybe it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Maybe God wasn't taking something away, but maybe he was preparing you for something your current path could never reach. I'll say that again. Maybe he was preparing you for something your current plan could never reach. Because again, our ways are different from his ways, and we be looking for the low hanging fruit, but he's trying to give us the whole tree. And that's for somebody. You want the low hanging fruit, but he's trying to give you the whole tree. I know this is easy to believe looking backwards than looking forward, but isn't that where faith begins? Faith begins is like, the evidence of things hoped for and things not seen. So you're hoping for these things, but you don't see it yet. You don't see the fullness thereof. Like you're like, oh, okay, just get me the job, or just. But he said, but I got a whole nother business. You're saying, okay, just get me that car, but I have you a car that's paid off without a car note. You say, oh, just get me that, but he's giving you the provisions to get the house that you want. But we like, okay, just do this, just do that. Instead of saying, okay, is this going to lead me where you want me, or is this going to take me away? And I'm speaking about myself too as well. Because if this is going to lead me away from you, then I don't. And I heard, like I heard Pastor Timberlake say that I don't want it. If it's not going to lead me to where you are, if it's not going to provide for my family the way I know I need, I don't want it. I don't want anything that's going to lead me away, to have me on an emotional roller coaster. And that's a hard thing to say, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because we're thinking from the point of view of, I got to go get it. I got to go make it happen. And can you hear the word I'm using? That's me. I would say, I got to go make this happen, because if I don't make it happen, ain't nobody else going to make it happen. If I don't go out here and get it done, it ain't going to get done. And then I found myself coming backtracking, doing the shuffle backwards, because I took something that was not my calling. I took something that drained me. I took something that I didn't love doing. I took something that put more work on me, more wear and tear on my car than it needed to be necessary, because I didn't have a goal. I didn't have a plan, and I wasn't intentional. I was just like, I got to put some money. I got to go get it. Whereas I don't stop to say, okay, God, where's the next provision? Where is the next brook? Where's the next raven that's going to come and bring provisions while this stream is gone? Another stream is being attached to it. But he's constantly feeding me by this stream. And then when this stream dries up, it's like, okay, I got another stream. But here's the thing, I fully understand that you, and can I keep it real? You should have more than one stream. In this time and age, you should have more than one stream. If you're relying on one stream, then that stream will eventually dry up. Because you're thinking, how did they become multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever the case may be? Because they have more than one. They may have started off with this one, but that one grew legs like an octopus. You can have one book, and out of that book you made a digital product, and out of that digital product, then like you made a merch, and out of that merch now you've made something else from it. You made a course from it. Out of that one book, you've made 4 streams from it. That's what that means. Different types of streams are coming from this one book that you made. And so when our plans don't line up to what is in our mind, then we're thinking like, oh, since God didn't show up the way that I want him to show up, I'm gonna show up in my own way. Well, can I can I leave you with these particular practical applications that you can do? So instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what is the season this is teaching me? Because every season, and I want to say this from my last video I did, it's like every season teaches us something. It's just the point of, did we learn the lesson in that season? So instead of asking, why didn't God answer my prayer? Ask, did he answer it different than I expected? Because I can tell you for sure he probably did. I can give you pretty much 100% that he did. He probably answered in a different way. And finally, instead of asking, how do I get back to my old plan? Ask yourself, what new direction may God be inviting me to trust? Because that's the thing. It's like I've been so focused on doing something that I've done like the back of my hand, that when I asked him, when I said I wanted to be a full-time content creator, I was like, but wait a minute, Lord, wait until I get more income stream coming in before you just like, right? And so what have I been doing? Is doing just that. I said, okay, I may not become, like my whole goal is to put out honest conversations. And it's not about doing the latest trend, or it's not about having all the answers. It's about, can somebody honestly say, hey, where do I go when my old plans are not working for me? And then you ask the question of what the new direction that God may be inviting me to trust, because you're going to have to trust. I'm not going to like, oh, no, you have to be intentional and you have to trust the process. Even the greats before you, before me, they had to trust a process before they got to where they are to be able to do the things that they do. And they will tell you they failed along the way. I think for me, the biggest thing that I have struggled with is failing. Right? It's like I have an issue with that. I have an issue with that. And here's the crazy thing. I've failed at so many things, guys, but I still have an issue with it. And not realizing that some of my failures have brought out some beautiful, beautiful things. And then some of my failures have taught me painful lessons. But some of my pain has brought me beautiful things in my life. It brought beautiful people into my life. And so if today's conversation found you in the middle of a detour, I hope you remember this. The road you're on today may not be the one that you planned, because it never is, but that doesn't mean that God has left the purpose. Can I say it again? But it doesn't mean that you've left God's purpose plan. Sometimes the most beautiful detours are reaching by the roads that were never intended to travel. Trust me, I know. And if you're still standing around the table, that's okay too. We'll save your seat until next time. Keep becoming, because your next decision matters more than your last mistake. And remember, there's always a seat at the table for you.